guys, Akil Stokes here, and today we're going to talk about how to develop the ultimate edge in the market. And just as a spoiler alert, if you're someone who came here looking for some type of get-rich-quick scheme or some magical super trading strategy, I apologize. The real ultimate edge is going to be patience. By the way, this is a video episode, so if you're listening on an audio-only platform, head over to somewhere else. I recommend Spotify. They share the audio versions and visual versions of this podcast. And of course, the video episodes always get put on YouTube as well, where there are thousands upon thousands of other cool pieces of content versus long form and short term that I have developed for you. So subscribe and check it out on a regular basis so you can do the things that are needed to become a consistently profitable trader. So we live in a really incredible time, right? We literally have the world at our fingertips. Come here, world. Look, see, it's right there at my fingertips. Meaning that the internet doesn't take 5 years to load up a web page like the old school American online CDs that we used to get. You can order meals from pretty much everywhere at one tap of the button and have it delivered straight to your house. And if you want to learn something, you're only a YouTube search away and a few minutes invested in watching videos of learning how to do something, right? So all of this stuff is amazing. Don't get me wrong. But here is the problem. We, us humans, have become spoiled. Because so much of our life has become quick and easy, we now expect everything to be quick and easy, and that includes trading. And look, we could say that impatience, the need for instant gratification, is one of trading's hidden costs, along with spreads and rollover fees. But to be honest with you, the cost isn't hidden at all. It is right there in front of our faces, and I see it every single day with traders I work with and traders that I connect with over the internet. Need some proof? Let me know if this sounds familiar, right? Have you ever seen a trader that quits after 1 month because they haven't figured it out yet? Have you ever seen a trader or a student who is taking a training course, they invested in themselves, but decided to rush through the material quickly so that they can get to making the money more quicker? Yes. Have you ever seen a trader that is actually doing very well, right? So well that they get a little bit greedy or undersatisfied with their results and they bump their position size and they blow their account because now their whole money management and risk management strategy is messed up? Yeah. In a world where everything comes fast, trading is still one of those things where the money comes slow. Hence the phrase, patience pays, ... literally. Akil, isn't trading gambling? I get that question a lot, and it gets me very, very mad, but I understand why it's asked. And although I don't really want to say yes, because usually when someone asks me that question, it's part of some type of negative conversation where they're saying that trading is like a scam and a scheme and we've all become suckers for somehow and no one can ever be profitable. But I must admit, the real answer is yes. Yes. Trading is gambling. But, B-U-T, gambling only has a negative connotation because most gamblers are losers, right? And they lose for two reasons. And these are the same two reasons that traders fail as well. One, they gamble without the edge or on the other side of the edge, right? The edge is a statistical advantage that one thing has over the other thing. So for example, if you were to go to a casino, every single casino game, the house has the edge, which means the probabilities are higher for them to win versus you to win. In trading, we want to have the edge over the market, meaning that we want to have a system or a strategy where the probabilities are in our favor. Therefore, we have a better chance to win versus the market. And just to be very technical, it doesn't actually, I shouldn't say we have a better chance to win because you don't necessarily need a high win rate in trading to be successful. We have a better chance to profit long term than not profit. Again, you can be a 70% trader with an inverse risk reward, meaning that your average risk is greater than your average reward. You lose more when you lose than what you make when you win, but because your win percentage is so high that you win more and therefore you make money. Or you can be the other way around, where you have a poor risk reward, where let's say you win 40% of the time, but When you win 3 times the amount that you lose. Therefore, even though you win less, you still make more. There's math and numbers, and hopefully that made sense. I probably shouldn't have gone there, but you guys get what I'm saying. You have a better opportunity to make money versus losing money. Well, you're probably saying to yourself now, well, Akil, if it's that simple, how come everyone isn't successful? And that brings us to reason number 2 that gamblers and traders fail. Their emotions, your emotions, my emotions, long time ago, push us to do dumb things. We make dumb decisions because as human beings, we are very emotional and we let emotions overshadow, ration, and we shoot ourselves in the foot. It happens, right? This is why we say psychology or trading psychology is the main reason that traders fail, not lack of a solid system or strategy. So again, in gambling, but also in trading, because this is the Trading Coach podcast, those are the 2 problems we're trying to solve. So let's focus on the first one, right? How do we actually get an edge? How do we shift the probabilities from over here and put them over here in our favor? It is really that hard to do. Yes, it's not an easy push. It is a strainful, stressful tug where it tugs back, and sometimes you get it here and it goes all the way back, and then once you finally get it over there, hopefully it stays forever. So that wasn't an embellishment. That is my visual representation of putting the edge in our favor. Yes. And just like that visual representation, right? I'm so artsy. Getting the edge in our favor it's both simple and hard at the same time, right? It's simple because there are tons of tactics, there are tons of methods, there are tons of trading strategies that can give you the edge, right? I think too many traders spend too much time looking or thinking that there is one strategy out there that must be found that will give them the edge. The truth is, there are thousands, if not more than thousands of ways you can have the edge. The problem is, maybe not the problem, but the misconception is, I think a lot of traders believe that the edge is this really big, gigantic thing, right? It's this massive edge where I plug it in and I make millions right away. The truth of the matter is, your edge as a trader is extremely small. It is a very small statistical advantage. And again, because these influencers sell you the exact opposite, many times traders will actually find themselves with the edge, but they don't think they have the edge because they've been misguided on what they've been told the edge is. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, Akil, how can I be a consistently profitable trader if my edge is very, 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 very small? Well, here's the secret. Our job is to, 1, find that edge or edges, plural, and then scale it. So here's an example where I got pennies on the mind because they're no longer making pennies in the US. But let's say I made a machine, right? I created a machine that produced pennies, right? And it produced 1 penny a day. Well, that is an edge, right? I am making 1 cent a day. It is a very, 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 very small edge, but technically it is a profitable edge. Now, I'm not getting excited over 1 penny a day because it doesn't really do anything to change my life. But what if I were to tweak the machine and now it created 2 pennies a day? I've just doubled my income. What if I created another machine that made 2 pennies and another machine that made 2 pennies, right? The point is, I'm taking this very, very small edge, 1 penny, and I'm doing things to scale it to the position where I've got 15 million machines all printing 2 pennies a day, and now I'm making a lot more money with the same very, very small edge. That is what we call scaling. That's a whole other topic for another time. There's probably actually lots of Trading Coach Podcast episodes on it. So just Google search Trading Coach Podcast, building your portfolio or whatever. I don't know what it's called. I probably should have researched this beforehand, but I didn't. And we'll give you kind of plenty of examples of that. Now, back to the original point after I got sidetracked with the random penny machine is how do we know that we have an edge? Well, this is where testing comes in, right? And for sure, I know that I have a lot of Trading Coach Podcast episodes on back testing. So again, just enter Trading Coach Podcast, enter back testing, and lots will come up. But back testing is the process that we go through. And we just did one on here talking about the 3 values of it. But the third value of back testing is to see if our strategy actually has an edge and what that edge is and if it's an edge that's worth exploiting. So now that we know that our strategy has an edge and we've handled half of the problem, the next part and the more difficult part is curbing our emotions. How can we take control over our emotions? This is the battlefield that plenty of traders die upon, right? It is there's two battlefields. We've been watching the Squid Game thing, right? It's one of those things in Squid Game where like, hey, 3/4 of the people make it through the first test, and then the second test, they come back to the room and it's only like 5 of them. That's what I would imagine this looks like, as many traders actually do end up finding a strategy that have an edge, handling your emotions and making it to the next stage, which is actually consistently trading. That's where you see a lot of dead bodies. And I'll tell you what, right? Most of our trading errors, right? They're based in laced in greed and fear, but they come from lack of patience, going back to like the instant gratification, I want it now type of feelings and thoughts that we have. So here are some examples. Let me know if this sounds familiar, right? Entering a trade too early due to FOMO, fear of missing out. That is lack of patience. Taking profits too soon, right? Trade's going in your favor. You know that your target is up there, but you're close enough. You want to take it now. What is that? Lack of patience. Revenge trading. Let's say you take a loss and instead of waiting for the next valid signal, you just want to hop in right away and take advantage of it. Lack of patience. I can write an entire book series, and I'm not going to write an entire book for you guys that keep asking me every time I mention book, you want me to write a book. I'm not going to write a book, but I could, if I wanted to, write a book on the emotional mistakes that either I've made myself or that I've seen other traders make in the 10 plus years of coaching them. And almost every mistake boils down to fear, greed, and that itch of instant gratification. Have you guys ever heard of the marshmallow test? It was a psychological test where kids, I think like preschoolers or something like that, they were given an option, right? The researcher came in, the kids would be sitting down, he said, hey, I got a deal for you, kid, listen up. I'm gonna put this marshmallow on this table, right? You have two choices. One, you can have this marshmallow right now, this sweet, delicious marshmallow right now, or don't touch it yet, or I can come back in 15 minutes and I'll give you 2 marshmallows. And the observer would leave and then he'd watch the kids and like the kids would be in there and they'd be like, kids are like, oh man, boom, boom, boom. And some would eat it and destroy it right away. Someone wait patiently and get their 2 at the end, right? It was a test on kind of dealing with instant gratification and like kind of pushing satisfaction and whatnot later, right? And it's a better deal, right? If you can get over the hump of 1, you would get 2, but that's where that impatience comes in. I say that because as I look back at my trading journey, I struggled for really the first 2 years that I traded. I've also been successful for about 15 years now. So in hindsight, looking back, right, I would gladly trade 2 years of shock, horror, depression, and all the bad demons thoughts that went through my head for 15 years of consistent profitability. But I would be curious that if I ran my own version of the tasty trading marshmallow test, if I got 100 traders in a room right now and said, would you sacrifice 2 years of pain for 15 years of profit? I'd be very curious at how many people would take me up on that offer. Now, I know you're saying that sounds like a no-brainer, Akil, but so does the marshmallow test, right? 2 marshmallows sounds much better than 1 marshmallow, and all I have to wait is 15 minutes. But could you really suffer and invest 2 years of hard work, lots of energy, sleepless nights, a bunch of effort, a bunch of depression, hopefully not like really, really bad depression, but like feeling like sucked out of energy, feeling hopeless for periods of time, because that's everything we go through as traders. Would you deal with 2 years of that if you knew you were going to be successful later? And I guarantee that a lot of traders wouldn't. I guarantee that a lot of traders would say, hey, you know what? I wouldn't, I couldn't, I'd rather just try something else. And the sad truth is that, anything of value in life requires time, effort, and energy. And as I said before, the only reason I believe that people fail is because they give up before they have the chance to succeed. And that's what we're seeing with so many traders. They have this idea that if I'm going to be successful, I need to be successful right away, right now. And they're not willing to go through the time that will actually mold them into being the successful trader that they ultimately want to become. Because it's not just like a snap in a hand and automatically you go from being poor to successful. All those ups and downs, all those hardships, all those things are learning experiences. These are things that harden us and chisel us and develop us into being who we want to be. So it really is an investment. You just haven't kind of dipped above the zero line in that J curve yet. So for you guys that would take the deal, you are willing to invest the 2 for the 15 and 15 plus, right, until you're done. Let's talk about what you can do to resist that evil instant gratification and keep you focused on the long game. Firstly, give the dopamine detox a try. We have an entire Trading Coach podcast episode dedicated to this. I did remember to look at this before the presentation. It's episode 335. And what the dopamine detox is it means that you are purposely and intentionally taking a break from things that give you like those instant hits of pleasure. Now, I'm not talking about the natural things like, you get dopamine hits from like, the dopamine, by the way, is like it's a feel-good drug. It's a drug that your brain sends to your body, like that makes you feel good and happy, right? So like when you work out, when you run, stuff like that, you get hits of dopamine and whatnot. So we're not talking about cutting out those things. I'm talking about the other things, stuff like social media, for example, right? Scrolling through social media, posting something and waiting for likes, right? I'm talking about stuff like video games, right? Things of that nature, right? Take a break and maybe not cut it off cold turkey, but minimize your exposure to those things and start kind of lowering those levels of artificial dopamine in your system, which makes you less kind of reliant on needing that instant pleasure all the time. What's interesting is that like this is actually a way you can kind of reset your brain's like reward mechanism. I don't know what it's called, but it's probably a fancy name for it, but I'm going to call it your reward mechanism. This is a way you can actually reset your brain's reward mechanism, and it actually allows you to kind of focus a little bit more. And I may be off here a little bit, but as a trader, I think focusing is pretty darn important to what we're doing. Another method is understanding the big picture, right? Law of large numbers, right? Having long-term goals, understanding that the actions that I'm taking now aren't going to improve me tomorrow, but they are stair steps that are going to improve me a week from now, a month from now, like 4 years from now. Like dieting is the same way, right? If we go on a diet, we start eating a little bit more healthier, we start working out more, and you go to weigh yourself on the scale, right? The next day, not much has changed. You're like, oh man, it didn't work, I'm going to do something else, right? But if you are consistent with it, right, your body changes, your kind of demands change. I'm lost for words right now. The thing that makes you want to eat bad things changes. Your appetite, I guess, changes. And you look at yourself a week later, a month later, a year later, and you've slowly become an entirely different person. It's all because of those initial small steps that you took. And back to trading, but I guess dieting as well. Most traders fail because they never zoom out and take a look at that big picture. They're only focused on the now and not the bigger timeline. And here's another question for you, right? Question day on the Trading Coach podcast. And I get this from a lot of traders. If you had a $1,000 account, right? And in 12 months, so end of the year return on investment, or end of the year just profitability, you've made $500. Would you be happy? Again, if you had a $1,000 account, traded for a full year, at the end of the year, you had $1,500. So you made $500 in profit. Would you be happy? The reality is most people would say no. And they say no because they look at $500 and they're like, well, 12 months of work for $500. They're doing the math. I don't know what that would be per hour, but it'd be a very low paying job, right? Someone would consider it to be illegal. But they don't see it as worth it. Like I did all this for $500. But here's the thing, that's not the point. And as we spoke about in the last Trading Coach podcast, sometimes we just need a change of perspective and look at it a different way. Instead of looking at the actual monetary figure, $500, right? Because that could be a lot of money for some people. That can be like dropping a penny for other people. I want you to take a look again. Look at this from the perspective of the percentage return on investment. $1,000 account, made $500. That's a 50% ROI. And if I ask you the same question, would you be happy with a 50% ROI at the end of the year? I guarantee that a lot of you guys would say yes instead of saying no. And I pause because I'm like, I actually should have done this with you guys. I should have had you write down your choice and then rewrite it down. Darn it. Anyway, I'll do that another time. But now, here's what I want you to do, right? So I want you to imagine, I want you to keep that 50% return on investment in the back of your mind. And I want to imagine trading successfully, consistently profitable being in a position where maybe you're getting in control of your personal finances, you're able to compound your trading profits and put it back into the account. Maybe you picked up a side job or you have a little extra money laying around, you're able to invest that in your trading account. But picture 5 years from now, and somehow you took that $1,000 account to a $50,000 account, right? Would you now be happy with that same 50% return on investment? Now you're making $25K a year from trading versus $500 a year? Once again, the answer would probably be yes. And here's the kicker, right? You're doing the exact same thing. The return on investment is the same. The action in the markets are the same. The technical analysis is the same. The only thing that has changed, the only variable that has changed is your account size. And that account size, if you're doing the right things, is going to change with time. So for the trader that had this $100 account, $1,000 account, made $500 and then quit at the end of the year because $500 isn't worth it, if they would have just wrote it out another 4 years, the same actions would have given them a much larger result. And that's what we need to focus on as traders. Not what am I doing now, but if I keep doing this thing now, what can I be doing in 5, in 10 years from now? Another way to think about this is the 1 degree shift. So I live by something called the Kaizen philosophy. It was something that I learned in the beginning of my trading journey where I was deeply depressed and all that fun stuff. And the Kaizen philosophy means continuous improvement. So it's 1% change for the better. So I would ask myself every day, I'd read it was on my wall, Akil, how can I get 1% better each day? It could be, it could be anything in life. But there's also something called 1 degree of change. And this really allows you to visualize kind of how small changes over time make a big difference. And you can if you're driving, don't do this. You can do this experiment if you want. You can do it on a piece of paper. You can do it in your office. You can do it out on the field. But I want you to imagine like you're standing in front of a wall. Maybe you're standing 5 feet in front of a wall. And I want you to look straight forward at that wall. If you have a pencil or a pen, whatever like that, walk straight forward and just put a little dot on the wall. And I want you to walk back to your initial spot, right? Because that is the spot that's right in front of you. If you were to shift your body by 1%, right, that much, and I told you to walk forward and put that same dot on the wall, that dot would pretty much overlap with the other dot. You wouldn't really see much change. That's that, $500, nothing, I didn't really make much, right? But if we were to step 10 steps back instead of 5 steps back, same thing, make 1 degree shift, and then walk forward, all of a sudden that dot is going to be in a completely different spot. If we were to step 20 steps back, 50 steps back, right? Just by that 1% change, now all of a sudden that dot is a couple feet to the right. Now imagine if you just don't make that 1% change or 1 degree change, but you make that 1 degree change with every step, which is every day. All of a sudden, your dot is going to be in a completely different place. And this is the same way we should look at our trading. This is the same way we should look at kind of our long-term picture, right? It's not about what I'm doing now. It's about where I'm going to be at down the road. Now, the final step I have for you, this is very similar to what I say whenever my wife drives the car. Slow down. She's a rough driver. She likes to get places pretty quickly, and I'm scared for my life. But this is a simple tip, but also a very powerful tip, right? Challenge yourself to slow down, right? Pick one thing a day that you can fight. So pretty much train yourself to fight those urges. If it is, hey, I don't want to eat that cupcake after dinner, fight that urge. You can do all your other urges as long as they don't hurt people, right? But fight that one urge. And then the next day, right, fight another urge. Hey, I'm only going to doom scroll on Instagram for 10 minutes today instead of 15 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever it may be. Fight that urge, right? Get one win. And that one win will give you a little bit of a detox, a dopamine hit, by the way. But what you'll do is you will become better at fighting those urges the more you do it. So a long time ago, I wanted to kind of cut the sugar out of my coffee. I was that type of guy where I had more sugar than coffee, and the coffee was just an excuse for sugar, right? So I'd pour the coffee, I'd have like 2 packets of sugar, I'd put like a whole bunch of creamer in there, and like I'd be all sugared up and like jittery. And I'm like, I'm trying to stay healthy and lose weight, transfer my body. And one of the things that I got to cut out is sugar, because I wasn't cutting out the cheese. Cheese is just too good to cut out. You can't cut out the cheese, right? So I started saying, how can I cut out the sugar? I don't really eat a lot of sweets, but I noticed like, hey, I am drinking 2 cups of coffee a day. It is mostly sugar in here. I can cut that out. So instead of like cutting everything out and going black, right? That wasn't happening. Bitter, right? I know I'm not a coffee guy. I'm going to get hammered in the comment section. I'm not a real coffee drinker. I know I could do black. I just don't prefer black, right? So instead of going straight there, I decided, hey, instead of 2 sugars and a bunch of creamer, I'm just going to do 1 sugar and a bunch of creamer. And then I went from 1 sugar and a bunch of creamer to just a bunch of creamer. Then I went from a bunch of creamer to half creamer to a little bit of creamer, right? So fighting those battles over time, it was hard at first, right? I'm sitting there like, I need it, man, right? But over time, I got adjusted to it. My body adapted, because the body and the mind are amazing machines. And I remember I went back to, I think my wife made me a cup, or someone made me, and she was used to me doing like a bunch of things of sugar. And she's a heavy creamer person as well. I think she made me a cup of coffee, and I drink it, and I'm like, what is this? What is this? She's like, it's sugary, baby, just how you like it. I don't like this. I threw it at her. I didn't throw it at her. I wouldn't be alive filming this for you if I did that. But I like, my body couldn't handle it anymore. It just, I had to adjust it and adapt it too much, that the thing that I did for years and years of my life, I could no longer do, right? And I cracked that habit and developed a new one. So the same thing with fighting these urges, right? The same urges, the ability to get those small wins outside of trading, are going to help you in trading. And then what I want you to do is start looking at those urges in trading, where, you know, my famous story for becoming a successful trader was this. I looked at all the mistakes I was making and realized I was making like 50 mistakes a month, right? So I decided, hey, I'm going to make 1 less mistake a month. But I also decided that I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. So make that a goal. If you know that early profit taking is your mistake, you know that, hey, out of every 10 trades, I take profits early on 9 of them because I just can't help myself. You know, don't cut it out right at once. It's going to be very, very hard, and you're going to like detox and start early profit taking on everything. But just do 1 trade. Pick 1 battle. Say, hey, self, I'm gonna let 1 trade play out. I'm gonna sit there in front of my computer. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna fight that urge to take profits out, and I'm just gonna let it play out. And I'm gonna do that 1 time. And I guarantee if you do it that 1 time, it's gonna be easier to do the next time. And I guarantee it's gonna be easier to do the time after that. And I also guarantee, from a psychological perspective, once you see the benefits, the rewards of actually letting your trades play out and exploiting the edge that you worked so hard on developing, you're going to be like, this thing works. Again, going back to my mistake story, I had given up on trading. I just decided I was going to follow my rules because I was just going to go broke in the market because it was inevitable, right? And I got a broker statement and I made money. I was shocked. I'm like, how the hell did I make money? And it was like, oh, I was doing the right things, right? My mentor's like, did you follow your rules? He's like, yeah. He's like, what's your good score grade? And I was like 95%. He's like, there's why. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So you'll also get that confidence of, hey, doing the right thing will actually make me a more successful trader, and then you're going to want to do the right thing more. And that's the whole belief, action, results cycle, right? Once you believe in yourself more, you'll start taking more of the right actions. Once you take more of the right actions, you'll get more of the right results. You get more of the right results, you believe in yourself even more, and now you've destroyed that negative cycle and introduced that positive cycle. So in conclusion, as I address the class on my way out, if you really want the ultimate edge in trading, this is it. It's not your magic strategy. It's not some type of super indicator. It's not a secret setup that no one's telling you about. It's patience. And if you apply your edge over and over again without letting those emotions get in the way, patience will pay you. Literally. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you liked it, hit that like button. Follow if you're new. Lots of content all over these places that I do content at. Also, if you have any tips or tricks that you have used in your trading that you'd like to share with other traders, feel free to leave it below. I shared all this cool information with you. Don't hog your information and your insights to yourself. Share it with the Trading Coach Podcast community. I appreciate it. And until next time, plan your trade, trade your plan. Take care.